Good evening. The South African Commercial Catering and Allied Workers Union is taking its dispute with Makro to the owner of its parent company, Wal-Mart. The union says its fight is for better wages, working conditions and the protection of striking workers. Business reporter Ntokozo Khumalo filed this report.
Commercial Catering Allied Workers Union is intensifying its fight against Makro and is now taking its strike action to the U.S. Embassy in order to get the attention of Massmart parent Wal-Mart.
For them to be in South Africa also, they are looking after investment. But if one of their own multinational comes here and treats workers of South Africa in the manner that Wal-Mart is treating them, it might also be impossible for them to lure other investors from America to come and invest in South Africa and in Africa in particular, because South Africa is a corridor for investment in Africa.
Dow says the fight is also for the 600 workers fired by Makro after the strike action in November, as well as another 200 plus who were suspended.
By the way, those dismissals are not as a result of Makro being unable to pay increases. It's a retaliation to the strike that we waged against Makro by suspending our members and dismissing them unfairly without any disciplinary hearing, without them being able to state their case.
The union says while the wage negotiation and strike action is more than a year in the making, it remains steadfast in its demands, including a 900 Rand or 12% increase across the board, depending on which comes out higher, a minimum wage of 800 Rand, increased commission for sales reps, increased working hours for Category 3 workers, as well as a uniform allowance of 100 Rand. In a statement to Newzroom Afrika, Senior Vice President of Group Corporate Affairs at Massmart, Brian Leroni, says the demands are unrealistic and in the context of a business that posted a group-wide loss of 2 billion Rand, they are unaffordable. He adds that in highlighting Massmart's financial constraints and that its focus was on conserving jobs and avoiding retrenchments, SACCAU responded by adding the moratorium on retrenchments to their demands. He concludes that there is a high probability that SACCAU's position will ultimately result in the company declaring an indefinite defensive lockout. The two parties met once again at the negotiating table last month but failed to reach an agreement. Now the union will take its strike action to the U.S. Embassy, with the secondary strike set to continue until Good Friday and to include workers from Massmart's other subsidiaries, including Builders Warehouse and Jumbo Cash and Carry. SACCAU says the only resolution it's looking for is for Makro to come back to the negotiation table and not undermine the collective bargaining process. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I'm Ntokozo Khumalo in Braamfontein.